Today I've got an updated look at all of the vintage vehicle sets, minus the fire truck from the fire brigade, which is the only one that I personally don't have. But out of all the other ones, between gift with purchases and actually included in sets, we've got all the other ones here, ranging from the first one that I've got, which is the car from the Palace Cinema, and then we didn't get any vehicles in the modular line until the diner in 2018, which both of these are all right. And looking back on them now, many years later, almost 10 for the diner, it's still an all right vehicle. I mean, the cinema is going to be 15 years old in a couple of years, which is crazy to think. So that's just crazy to think there. And the vehicle still looks great, I think. And then we've got the tow truck, which was in the 2019 corner garage, which I'm glad it was included right in the set and not a gift with purchase, because every auto shop needs a tow truck, and the way they incorporated it with the car from the diner is actually kind of genius. And then we've got a Lego Ideas set in this list, which is the vintage car GWP, which was going around the time of the release of the police station modular in 2021, which I got this from a friend of mine a couple of years ago. So really happy to have this in the collection, mainly because this goes great with the vintage car from the diner. So pairing those with the downtown diner just looks great. So that was what we got for 2021, and that was kind of the start of getting a yearly vintage vehicle for the modulars, or at least a nicer GWP for modulars. I know we've gotten some modular specific gift with purchases in the past, like the flower cart for the detective's office and stuff like that. But before this, most of them were like polybags. But this was the first one, at least that I know of, that was like an actual set. So nice to get something kind of substantial as a freebie. And then we've got the vintage taxi gift with purchase from 2022, which released alongside the Boutique Hotel, which I've got 2 of these, mainly because they released this not right away with the hotel. And so since I wanted this gift with purchase because I wanted to swap out the more modern taxis I had in the city, ended up doing 2 separate orders, which isn't something I do very often, and ended up getting 2 of these, building both. And so the other one's in the city still, but pulled one out for this video. Overall, not a bad gift with purchase. Looking back on this one, now the hotel has been retired over the last, well, it's been retired for about a year now, but overall, not a bad gift with purchase for this one. But this is definitely definitely getting into more of the enjoyable gift with purchases for the vehicles and ones that are a lot more up my alley for just enjoyment in both terms of just overall fun and build. And then we've got the moving truck GWP, which was the gift with purchase for the Jazz Club. And this is probably the first one that I knew I was going to get right away in terms of both modular and the GWP, because I loved this gift with purchase and I loved the Jazz Club itself. So ended up getting this as soon as I could. So really happy to have this in a collection. So happy with this one. Do still want to do a custom warehouse build at some point, specifically based for this set. Haven't started that at any point yet. Don't have the parts, or at least enough to really get started. But overall, happy with at least having the gift of purchase to at least remind me to do this mock. And it's one that overall I think Lego pretty much hit out of the park. And then we've got the vintage or retro food truck, as Lego called it, which was the gift with purchase for the museum modular from 2024 or late 2023. And this one was a little bit more interesting to me than the taxi, though the moving truck and the retro food truck are pretty much tied for me personally, because both of them were things that I wanted for the layout, though I love the overall look of how they pulled this food truck off. And since I've got the pizza van and ice cream truck from the city line in the collection, I just knew that I wanted to add this to the collection. So really happy to just have this in the collection. And overall, I think the only thing missing, at least at the time, was probably a minifig that actually kind of fit the overall theme for this set, which thankfully I was able to find that perfect figure at my Bricks and Minifigs, which was the Series 17 hot dog vendor, so I put him on the inside. And then we've got the GWP that I just recently built, which was the vintage parade car, which is all right. It's not my favorite out of these that we've gotten over the years, because mainly to me it's basically a color change and parts upgrade comparison to either the 2013 car from the Palace Cinema or the Downtown Diner. But other than that, there really isn't anything too crazy with the vintage parade car. But overall, I do like it. Love that they used dark blue for the main color, because I feel that that color doesn't get used a lot as a main color. See it as little bits in sets, but not as a main color, which is kind of a disappointment for me personally, just because it's one of my favorite colors. So for that to be used as a main color in a set, I knew I was picking that up right away. And for the fact that I could have skipped on the modular and held off on a double points to get it, and would have been worth it, but there wasn't anything other than the modular that was coming out or already out that I was after for January 1st, mainly because I spent my reward points to get Arkham Asylum on release day to get the Sega Genesis game controller that I still gotta build. So, overall, the new vintage parade car isn't really high on the list, but it's definitely higher than some of the earlier vehicle sets. But it definitely doesn't top, for sure, the food truck. That one is still probably my favorite. But overall, that's what I've got for an updated look at all of the vintage vehicles that I have in my collection as of 2026. So you guys can tell me your thoughts on this video in the comment section below, and just like and subscribe for more, because I will do more in the future.